Hi, this is Jim Cranston from 7 Every Minute and 7everyminute.com, the podcast and website about reimagining your life. Thanks for joining me tonight to talk about discovering what's right in front of you in terms of attitudes and where they can actually come from, and the origins might surprise you. If you like what you hear tonight, please leave a like and tell your friends and send me a message. So tonight's an unusual night in the Northeast. It's kind of an unusual night all around. Well, first of all, if I'm losing my voice, it's for a couple of reasons. One is I was traveling all day, coming back from a high school graduation ceremony, which was a lot of fun. I'll talk about that more in a second. But and then the other problem, though, is, or the other reason is, for the second time in recent history, Canada's having really large forest fires, and they're large enough to affect the region, the Northeast United States, with smoke. And so it's one of those things that's both amazing and a good reminder of just how small the earth really is. And what happens there, no matter where there is, eventually ends up here. So, the whole thing of offshoring to avoid the fallout of uncontrolled manufacturing just doesn't work. It's just amazes me, um, how one farm, what large, but one forest fire can impact the weather hundreds and even thousands of miles away. Mother Nature truly works on a grand scale. Also, not unrelated, I expect, is I can hear a thunderstorm that's minutes away. So we'll see if we actually succeed in getting everything posted before we lose power or internet or both or whatever. So thanks for joining me as far as we get tonight. So tonight, like I said, I'm going to again discuss attitudes and how they shape our reality, but also about how early these attitudes are actually formed. I spent the weekend with the kids and the grandkids, like I said, for a high school graduation, which was awesome, by the way. Big class. Well, from I the school I went to graduated with about 100 kids per class. This was a 600 members in the graduating class, 600 and some, and really good cross section of humanity. And it was a lot of fun, just a lot of great things. And but of course, there's always family dynamics. Um, because not everybody, it's nothing right and wrong, but everybody lives life a bit differently. And so it's really good in a lot of ways. But then, there's some things that kind of end up in a few challenges here and there. But I reminded myself and a few of the youngest attendees that it's up to each and every one of us to decide how we want to remember each event or stimulus in our lives. So, yes, actually, the weekend was awesome. Thank you very much. Um, and it really was, because the good things really outweighed the bad things. But I meet so many people where they have a wonderful weekend or a wonderful event or whatever, and one thing goes wrong, and the only thing they remember from the whole time is the one thing that went wrong. Dozens of things went right. That's the way this was. A couple of things were a little rough. Overall, it was a fantastic weekend. So there's many things. Got to see a cousin on the way back that I hadn't seen in a long time. So it was actually really, totally was very nice. But the one thing I really noticed, speaking with the two youngest attendees, is how early very definitive attitudes have formed in our minds. They're like in the second and fifth grades or thereabouts, and they've already learned many certainties in their life. And I think probably not all of them are going to help them when they're older. This isn't anyone's fault per se. Probably a lot came from peers. Likely some came from entertainment or whatever. Others came from teachers and various other adults in their lives. And I think one of the ones that really caught my ear was some of it had to do with language, such as the frequent use of the word hate. Whether it's broccoli or the annoying boy in class, hate is a word that I often discourage. Don't misunderstand me. There are certainly times when it's appropriate, in my opinion, but those times are few and far between. Dislike is for veggies. Don't care for is for the annoying boy. And reserve the very strong emotions for the few things that really deserve it. Something like war, something really, really bad. It's kind of like cursing. If you've ever been around someone who curses a lot, at least I always have the inclination to ask them, hey, how I'll be able to tell when you're really angry about something? Because just everything, everything's just horrible, and they're just cursing up a storm. It's kind of like, dude, you know, dial it back a few things. You actually things are going pretty smoothly. Why are you cursing? When you use something, it loses its effect. And if you use the word hate, for example, a lot, then it kind of becomes a meaningless word, and it shouldn't be a meaningless word. It should be reserved for things that really count. And so I thought that was very interesting by that age. But also, by their very young ages, they're already very aware of self doubt. Now, I'm not sure where that came from. Actually, they have an extremely supportive family. The family's wonderful. The teachers at school are very encouraging. I mean, they certainly seem to be very encouraging. Their friends seem nice. And yet they're already doubting their ability to move up a grade, do new homework, solve a puzzle, whatever it is. And they're both very intelligent. They do lots of things. I mean, of course, they're perfect kids, right? They're related to me. But I mean, seriously, they're they have a lot of capabilities, and yet somehow already they've learned to focus first on the problems and the challenges and then perhaps look for the opportunities. Clearly, there's something endemically wrong in our approach to education. Um, Education, as in not just schooling, but education overall. I mean, certainly the entertainment, I would fault for part of this. I was kind of forced by circumstances to watch children's TV. And even the upbeat shows are really not a good source of positive outlook training. There's a lot of snarky comments and people criticizing each other to canned laughter and stuff. And so you don't have to be real creative in your mind to see that if you're young and learning how life works, and you see two people on the show, one's always criticizing the other one, you're probably going to put yourself in one of those two positions, and quite possibly in the position of the one who's being criticized. And so that I just fault Hollywood for end to end. But regardless of that, I thought it was really interesting that already these very, very talented children, they really are, they truly are talented artistically. They're gifted in math. I mean, they have a very well-rounded background. They have a really generally very good family situation. Already there's all this self-doubt. So imagine somebody who doesn't come from that, how much self-doubt they carry. So that, of course, brings us to adulthood. So how long have we been living our lives while judging ourselves and the world with attitudes rooted in either our preteen or maybe even single digit years? Right? Think about that. Here you are looking at something and thinking, probably I don't think I could do that. I couldn't speak on stage. We talk about that a lot. I couldn't possibly speak on stage because I just don't have that sort of competency. Why is that the first thing that comes to your mind, as opposed to somebody says, hey, you want to talk to, I don't know, talk to the Lions Club about the new project you're starting to help people in the neighborhood make it look prettier? It's like it's an opportunity. The first thing that should pop in your mind, first before everything, should be, sure, that's in line with my goals. That's what I want to do. But that's not how we've been programmed. We've been programmed to think about, I don't know if I could speak to the Lions Club. I was never good about speaking. And it's why changing ourselves is always difficult. So, I mean, let's think about it. Assume we didn't start to self-criticize ourselves in earnest, right? Until we were 10, although I think it probably started, a lot earlier than that. Now, however old you are, how long you've been doing negative self-talk to yourself, how many decades, right? Decades of this, and that's what you've been building up on. So you started off with something. That's why it's really important to both stop the negative self-talk and also to think about where those thoughts even originated from. Because although it may sometimes be something very serious, there's a lot of really serious causes where that could come from. Often when we figure out what it really started from, it's really something silly. And I mean, really silly, like a comment someone made at the end of the end of your school party in your second or third grade. And I can actually come up with things like that from when I was probably, I would say under 10 years old. I can remember certain comments and certain situations that happened very, very clearly. Why am I still carrying that around? Maybe it's just kind of an interesting thing from the past. Okay, I'll let that slide. But why am I ever using that to judge myself? Completely irrelevant. We should really get past those things. And those attitudes have certainly no place in your adult life. So you know already what you're capable of doing, right? We've talked about this a lot. You're capable of doing anything that's truly important to you, anything. And now is the time to start reminding yourself of how much you can accomplish, and you should start doing it with every single thought, every single day. And I'm not going to go through it tonight, but we have exercises to go through and look back. And if it's something like, well, I was never been very good at math, kind of like, whoa, were you good at math in the fourth grade? No, I wasn't very good at math in the fourth grade. Well, How about the first grade? Oh yeah, I loved math, arithmetic in the first grade. It was a lot of fun. How about the second grade? No, I didn't like it in the second grade. Well, when did you stop liking arithmetic and math in the second grade? And you come through it and something like, oh, somebody asked me what 1 + 1 was, and I came up with 11, and everybody laughed. And from that one incident, you've now told yourself this story, and often say it, and you add up a column of numbers, not right. You go, well, yeah, I know, I'm not real good at math, and you keep repeating this negative self-talk to yourself. And there are ways around that, and we're going to work on those at another time. So, but your homework, if you decide to do any, is pick something. We've talked about this before, but I'll just say real quickly tonight. Pick something that you just know to be true, that you've never doubted, and trying to figure out where that came from. Whether it's something about yourself, something about the world. People from this region are never very good in business. Where did that come from? And then try and disprove it. Maybe go back, go to the library, look up the history of wherever you live, and see, or just on the internet, type in, who knows, Pleasanton, New York. Who knows if that's even a town? Say, successful business people from Pleasanton, New York, and see what you come up with. And you might find, 4 or 5 people that were very successful through their lives. Kind of like, I never knew that. Just people always told me, people from Pleasanton just never did anything with their lives. And pick something that you just are sure is true and find out whether it really is or not and where it came from. So that's it for the evening. Thanks so very much. Again, UKR7, that's the site where you can find links to support the people of the Ukraine. World Central Kitchen is there, wck.org. Lots of good links. People definitely need support more now than ever. It's been going on for over a year over there. And World Central Kitchen, as we talked about before, they work throughout the world, not just in war zones, anywhere there's humanitarian crises. I just saw someone was just telling me they were doing work somewhere else. I forgot it. I apologize. Active all the time, and they just do great and amazing things. And so that's it. Please remember the war in Ukraine. Remember, one of the best ways to care for yourself is to care for others. It really changes your perspective on the world and takes you from looking inward and finding all the things that are wrong to looking outward and seeing all the opportunities where you can make things better and help other people. So if you can and you're able, please check it out at ukr7.com. As always, thank you for stopping by. If you found something interesting or useful, please pass it along and please hit that like button. If not, please drop me a comment as to what you'd like to hear. Have a great week. The storm's just starting to come in. I think we managed to sneak by and get it done. Remember to live the life that you dreamed of, because that's the path to true contentment. Love and encouragement to everyone, and see you next week on 7 Every Minute and 7everyminute.com. Thank you.